good.
And a very good evening. I'll welcome you all to the Township Committee meeting for Bedminster, regular meeting for the Bedminster Township Committee. November 16th, 2015. We have our full Township Committee tonight. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask Ms. Sullivan for the Open Public Meetings Act statement. Yes,
sir. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News in Somerville, to the Burnsville News in Burnsville, all subscribers, and also posted here at the Township Municipal Building as of January 5th, 2015.
I'll invite you all to join in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have only one set of meeting minutes to review tonight, and that would be from the November 2nd regular meeting. Does anybody have any comments or questions on the minutes as they've been proposed? If not, I'll take a motion.
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We have permits and raffles. We have two things here. We have a special use permit for the Fiddler's Elbow Country Club, and they are requesting a special use permit for a temporary installation of a trailer to be used as a previous approved warming hut at the paddle tennis courts. And I think we have somebody here to speak to that. Sir, if you'll identify yourself for the audio recording.
I will recuse.
And we will note that Mr. Bellardo is recusing himself this time.
I'm Ken Donovan. I'm one of the trustees at Fiddler's Elbow.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Would you just kind of like to elaborate on if there's any more than what I just said?
I can try.
I'm sure.
It's a warming hut,
Yeah.
kind of typical in paddle tennis. You play, you warm up, you go back out and play. We were late getting our plans to the town. The plans for the permanent building are in review. The season is upon us. We need some place for the people to go. So this building is similar location. It's in the parking lot, smaller than what is approved. We just needed to get through our season.
Any questions or comments, Mr. Donovan?
I will say I did reach out to the township engineer this morning to just make sure he was aware of this and was okay with this. He said yes, it was expected.
I believe we've approved similar accommodations like that from over the years where something might have been, in process of.
Yes, and this is temporary in nature. I think Mr. Donovan put till May, which I think gives him around 6 months, but it may not take that long. And
Yeah. You've been here for the last 2 winters also? So I'm not sure what we're going to get done this winter. So that's kind of the outside date.
Okay. In the absence of any more questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Good.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Technical question, probably for Judy. Is paperwork we expect back from somebody, or is this now?
So the mayor will sign it this evening,
Okay.
and I will leave a copy for the construction department tomorrow. So
Oh,
that they have
great,
it
because
in
they're going to
their
be stopping
office.
out tomorrow.
So actually, construction department asked me before they left tonight if this was on the agenda, and was I going to leave them a copy.
Okay.
So they will have it first thing.
Terrific. Okay. Thanks very much. Home safely.
Thank you.
Secondly, we have a request from the Clarence Dillon Public Library, and Director Sandy Putnam is with us tonight. As we spoke a little bit, I believe at our last meeting, there was a request for funding assistance for the purchase and installation of a security camera system. And Sandy, would you like to come up and elaborate on that, or be able to field some questions if we have any?
I'll read her rare prepared statement.
Now make sure we have not only audio but video, that you won't be seen on the video, but please make sure you're heard on that microphone for posterity.
In September, as a security measure, the library installed security cameras in the form of fixed iPad monitors at our main floor front desk and also at our downstairs children's room desk. The monitors provide all hours viewing of any prospectively threatening intruders approaching the children's room downstairs. which, because of its lower floor corner location, is outside the sight lines of most of our staff. It was approved by the library's trustees and implemented by the local Far Hills Bravo AV firm. And this installation cost the library $3,988. And as I write, perhaps the township will see fit to reimburse the library for this community safety investment. And this note and these words respectfully solicit same.
So I'll open that up to any comments or questions from Mr. Button.
Mr. Mayor, just a question, if we were so inclined to, put this money forth, Judy, would this have to be something that would be allocated out of the
So
budget?
at our last meeting, Mr.
Right.
Bellardo reminded us that if we're going to do anything concerning funding, there would need to be a resolution. There is a resolution on the agenda this evening if you so desire to adopt it. The amount is blank. That needs to be determined, but it would be done by resolution. And the money that we were targeting, if that's how we're going, was from a grant that we did receive from both Cablevision and Comcast for communication. Currently, there's about $8,700 in that grant that's available.
Sandy.
Any way you want to do it.
Thanks. I think we had questions last time with regard to recording capabilities, and you mentioned iPad monitors. So are the cameras more of a monitor than a recording?
We're not recording.
Oh.
Would double or triple the investment. Doesn't seem necessary. At the front main desk of the library, and also in the children's library, fixed installation. In the form of a small iPad, 50 space. It shows the hallway leading into the children's library. And then a second small screen again inside.
Sandy, I applaud you for going down this route and identifying some potential weaknesses. I'm struggling a little with if it is true that the township bears some responsibility over the safety of people within the library, and I think you've made that point in coming to the township. I think we do, and if it is true that we do, I would look to the chief of police to ask what his opinion is on the appropriateness of these measures and how far do they go, or do they go far enough, what's the weakness, so we could get a holistic view on, is this sufficient? Is it money well spent? Is it not? And I guess just a question to have, has the chief had an opportunity to come in and make an independent assessment so he could advise the township committee on, the larger issue? Because if we do bear some responsibility, I would like to hear from our chief as to how adequate are these measures that are being taken, and from his professional opinion, what else, if anything, needs to be done? Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps recording, perhaps an emergency button which immediately gets over to the police department for rapid response. I don't know what those additional measures might be.
And we do have the emergency panic button at both desks. But for the rest, Chief, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I'd have to, like I said, I'm not prepared to make that, those comments, but I'd be more than happy to stop in and take a look at the system you have and make any recommendations. We've just gone through a surveillance system on ourselves within the police department, so we are familiar with what we needed to do. And like I said, not seeing yours, I can certainly go out there and take a look at it and do an assessment and put our heads together. Absolutely.
Chief, just for some background, what is the, and this is more for informational purposes, can you describe the video system we have around the police station?
It's a 24/7. It's a motion censored, so that the cameras don't activate unless there's some type of movement. But it records. We have it recording, we have it set for 30 days, so it records everything in our database for 30 days. We also can download it if we need to. We can replay it. We can print out still photos, things like that, if we need something for evidential value. But we have 8 cameras, like I said, with a hard drive. It's a closed circuit television, similar to what you see for surveillance. But we have 8 cameras, and like I said, they are 24/7. They are saved.
Thanks. And Sandy, do you know if this system is capable of moving to recordation?
No, I don't. I don't know if a separate system would be required. I do know that the cost was a multiple of what we paid for this. And in a nonprofit of limited funds, we went for the, what I just described to you. And aren't perhaps as interested in evidentiary or records as we are in spotting an immediate problem.
And Sandy, perhaps you could also share with us just a little bit of, not the situation, but the measures that you took at the end of the summer as far as trying to beef up security. We don't have to get to the cause, but probably just simply the attention that was paid by the library to security.
Without going into too many details in public that might defeat the security measures.
I understand.
That's true.
We just beefed up what we already had, which were the panic buttons. We installed the video surveillance of the downstairs children's library. Thought we might put it in the upstairs, but there are lots of eyes on the front door of the library. So decided we did not need that. We educated the staff very thoroughly in terms of what their role would be and the personal plans they needed to have in the event of an unwanted intruder. We talked at length with the chief, got his support and advice, and continued routine surveillance of the library, which is always a comfort. And that pretty much summarizes the steps we took, Steve.
Yeah, I just wanted to just point out to the rest of the members of the board that this was not just a knee-jerk reaction. This was something that that the library director, and in consultation with the trustees, took a comprehensive approach to trying to add to security. Now, they are funded through tax dollars separate from us, through property taxes separately from us, and the affiliation between your public library and your municipality is a lot less tight than you would think, because they operate independently with a board of trustees that has some influence from elected officials here, but not entirely. So, whereas if he was coming to us with a proposal for a grant for funding, that would be one thing, but here he's really just looking for a contribution to reimburse something that essentially has already happened and already been thought out. So I know there might be a lot of questions about, did you do this? Why didn't you do that? Mm-hmm. In some cases, that's kind of water under the bridge through their organization. So.
Mm-hmm. I would just comment, I guess the threshold question is, where does the responsibility of the town and overall in general, begin and end as far as, providing safety and welfare. And, I think that, we can draw lines. Well, that's really the library, that's really this. But overall, if there is a problem or incident, then the town is going to have to respond. And our resources are going to have to come to bear. So if there's something that we can do to mitigate that, then I think that's all within the realm of public safety.
I would kind of view it in a similar to our first responders, the fire departments and the first aid squad, in that they are also affiliated with the town but not in a direct chain of command, and that we make annual contributions to those entities based upon sometimes line items or sometimes just budgetary lines, and I think he's looking for a contribution of a similar nature to what we might get from the fire department. Mm-hmm. And look, we've got this, we think we need it, and can you help us out at all? And if we think it's in the best interest of the town to do such thing, then I think we should consider it. And there's two questions. There's a yes or no, and then, of course, as Judy mentioned, there's a dollar amount. And there's a wish dollar amount, and we have all the way from 0 up to that point, so.
Well, as far as the threshold question, I think it is a public place, and I think we bear some responsibility. So my answer to the first question, Mayor, would be yes, I would like to do something, and then we can talk about what the second part of that is, what will we do, how much?
Yeah, I concur with Mr. Payne. Yes, on the first question.
Well, I'm curious to hear about the chief's comment about the evidentiary value, and to some extent, if there was an incident, having the recording available would assist you in prosecution of any matter, of any offense that was out there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you may want to consider, look at this, and then you might want to add some money so that you could upgrade this to make it more valuable.
And Sandy, would you be amenable if the town, whether it was the chief and our IT director, took a look at your system and make some recommendations about recording? Is recording an issue of any concern for you?
I would welcome that.
I concur. I think that we do have funds available to us for this purpose, and I think it's worthwhile for this. But I do also agree that we need to take a look at maybe how we can improve and help.
Okay, and I would agree with everyone on the dais as far as the threshold question. So let's throw out Part B on this, and to what extent should we offer some funding? And I will just offer one guideline that Sandy knows very well. This is a shared library between us and the Borough of Far Hills. And from a funding standpoint, I believe we're usually at an 80-20. So that's at least a ratio to consider. Doesn't mean that we have to be guided by that, but I just will throw that out for clarity.
Well, I think on this question, and this maybe goes to Larry's point, it would be helpful in answering this question to understand what we all may like to see in terms of functionality. And I don't know if we have time to get our IT person in there and to do an assessment and advise us. If there's an acute funding shortage and you need something right away, that would be one thing. If this is something that we have a month or two to look at, what does this solution accomplish, but what does it not accomplish, and what is the additional spending which may be required in order to more fully realize our goals, I think we'd be in a much better position to know how much we'd be willing to pay for that.
And let me respond in two ways. One, that it's not a crisis of today. Secondly, there is a resource that could give at least a preliminary estimate of the cost to upgrade to evidentiary, and that's Bravo AV, who put it in.
Yeah.
And understanding the system, and it talked to me about multiples, that's all they said.
Sure.
Could probably give a pretty accurate cost. So if you wanted either myself or anybody else to ask them, that would be a good first step in terms of range of additional cost.
Judy, would we be able to pass the resolution with no dollar amount in it?
No,
No.
I would defer it until we had a real number.
But by the same token, we can also table it tonight. Mr. Putnam can go back to his office tomorrow knowing that there will be some support from this governing body, which I'm sure he'll be happier than when he walked in, and we can fill in the amounts when we get a little more data. But
there's still a comment, and this was raised at the last meeting, which was the number, and maybe this is because of the provider. It seemed out of line, the cost number seemed out of line with the work that the town just implemented, the video surveillance around the police station, which with additional cameras, the motion sensors, and the recording, Judy or John, do you remember the number that was, the police?
About $3,000.
Yeah, so I would just, I'm not sure if Vishant did that
That was
work?
a combination of John's people and our IT person and some input from the chief. I mean, it was a team effort.
Right, and I certainly understand that this is now Bravo's system that they installed, but to any extent that it could be done more efficiently with Bedminster Township IT, police, and Public Works, just to take a quick look and see if they can put together a recording system that's going to be satisfactory to the chief. Certainly go ahead and get that number from Bravo, but I would also like our own experts to take a look at that.
Makes perfect sense.
Stacy, do you have any additional?
No, I have no additional.
Let me throw something out here, and it doesn't necessarily have to be solved tonight, but I'm going to throw out two scenarios, neither of which I'm advocating 100%. But I think we could go in one of two different ways. We go a third way, but I would propose that we could do one of two things. We can either fund a proportion, which could be up to 80 to 100 or less, and just essentially provide the library reimbursement for something that they've already done. Or we could also look at this dollar amount that's here and hit a percentage of that and say, we'll be happy to give that to the library and call that a matching fund, with the idea that that donation is given to the library as matching for some additional capability up to a certain level. In other words, he could either just simply be made whole with the reimbursement, and it's whatever he has right now, and that would help the library's daily budget, or we could put a proviso and say, well, we'd like to give you some money, but we want it as matching funds so that you can gain an additional capability, and with a little more research, we can figure out what that would be. I don't know. To me, that's the either or, and I'd like to hear everyone's comments.
Well, if our IT people and the chief come back and say, yeah, it's readily adaptable for this and this, and we would like to see this, because if there was an incident, we want to be able to, go further than just the immediate threat, but to go and possibly find who these people are, identify them. And we can say that that's a capability we think is important, therefore, here's the extra money to go utilize to enhance the system. I think that's what you're saying, right, Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a very viable option.
There is a third option, of course, and that is to understanding what's been done already, but that is to get a quote from the vendor who did the work already for the police department, and if a similar system can be done for less than the price that's already been spent for the other, and instead of us extending money in the amount of $3,000, $3,400, whatever it is, to pay back for the other system, we just buy an entirely new system and just say
Swap it out, you mean?
a mistake was made in what we purchased the first time. No fault, suggested on your part whatsoever. But if in fact there's a better vendor, and I don't know if there's any upside or if there's no upside to having a similar platform in town for these key areas, it may just be better to have similar platforms for some altogether.
Well, that one is being worked on the motion perspective. This is live
Yeah,
monitoring.
you have two different applications. You have an interior,
Live monitoring, and this
Where
yours
is
is,
looking for something inside
yours is
where
recording when
we have
we-
them as they come in, so.
I mean, presumably that's just the
You know,
switch, though.
two different
on the
applications, which
algorithm.
makes sense, and you can do both. Let's look at these and make the determination, because, like I said, they are two different applications. One's interior monitoring live, and we have exterior monitoring live also, but with motion sensor and recording, so.
Yeah.
Ours has twofold. It has, exterior, night, day. Here is, during the business hours, the only one that's watching when they're working. So, I agree. I mean, just let's look at it and see what, maybe you can possibly expand to this and you can have both
Yeah.
on one, but, not knowing.
We're all aligned on the objective, right? It just comes down to what does the partnership look like? And, today one cannot help but reflect on the terrible occurrences over in France, in Paris, right? And the primary objective of any government is to take care of its citizens, and whether or not it's through one type of evil or another, this certainly is a compelling responsibility of ours. And I think we should just take a fresh look and figure out what is the, what's the appropriate system to have in there. Get a quote on that, and then make a decision on that. It may be enhancing the existence.
I agree with that approach.
Maybe you may be getting a bigger system. But I guess one threshold question is, would you, once again, I asked the question, but would there be any objection to recordation? Would there be any objection to having an expanded system with perhaps additional cameras if that was the recommendation of the chief?
It would be a budgetary issue, but in terms of
I didn't ask about budget.
in terms of being worthwhile to the community via the library, it would be great.
Okay.
And I would, recognizing the pleasure of coming to this meeting, suggest that we find out what higher level would look like and how much it would cost, and reconvene.
I agree with that approach.
So
But we can also do extra homework. If we're looking for another 20% from somewhere else, then we can kind of put that out there for someone else to know about as well.
You have the Mayor of Valogne's information, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Just want to be sure.
But at least we'll know what we're looking at.
Let's take Mr. Putnam's suggestion, and I'm gonna also, we have to kind of put a belly button to this, or two, and I'm gonna make the suggestion that we have a member of the library board that was also involved in our surveillance cameras, or at least our video cameras, and we also have Mr. Olson, who's got some good questions, and maybe you can have a subcommittee to just chat with the chief and come back with some direction at a future meeting. And Mr. Putnam, you can go realizing that the sense of this governing body is to support you in some dollar amount.
I exit with pleasure and respect.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you.
And Sandy, before you go, I mean, certainly, while it was not a knee-jerk reaction, but there was some activity behind the scenes that Sandy felt he needed to take swift, but contemplated and well-thought-out action. And Sandy, I certainly commend you, as I did before at the library meeting, as did Steve, and thanking you for your
Thank you for
quick
that.
action.
We're grateful.
Yes, we are in very good hands with the leadership at our Clarence Dillon Public Library. Thank you, Mr. Putnam.
Thank you on behalf of all of us. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
And with that, as I go onto the agenda, I am now going to relinquish control of this meeting to Ms. Sullivan.
Okay, that brings us to the part of the agenda that references a straw vote for the 2016 mayor. Now, just to review, as we've done in the past, in order for the future mayor to reach out to volunteers for possible appointments to committees and commissions in 2016, it's beneficial to know in advance who the mayor or the future mayor will be. So therefore, usually the meeting following the election in November, we do what we call a straw vote by the members of the 2016 Township Committee to determine who that person will be. So, with that being said, I will entertain a motion to open the nominations for the 2016 straw vote.
I will make the motion to
This is just to open the
up
nominations.
Nominations.
Thank you. And a
I'll
second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So with that, I will accept a motion for any nomination.
I will make a motion to nominate Steve Parker for mayor.
I will second that motion, Judy.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other nominations?
Are you interested?
Sure.
Okay.
If there are no other nominations, I will entertain a motion to close the nomination.
So moved.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So then we will have a straw vote with our nominee being the current mayor, Steve Parker, for the 2016 mayor as a straw vote. Go down the line. Mr. Payne?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye.
Okay, so it is unanimous. Thank you all.
Well, thank you very much, and I will not, despite going to Atlantic City tomorrow, I will not give a Miss America speech, but I know all 5 of us know what a privilege it is to serve the people of Bedminster in an elected position, and it is a infinitely greater privilege to be supported by my colleagues, and I thank you all. And we'll work very hard in the next year.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Now, we go to what we do twice every meeting, and we go to public comment. And we open up that microphone right there to any member of the public that wishes to be heard. Please state your name, your street address for the audio part of the video recording. All right, seeing none, we will move on to monthly reports by our subcommittee chairs. And as we do traditionally, we will start with Mr. Payne.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. Let's start out with the stipulated settlement, which was recently ratified by all 4 towns for the EDC agreement. Was formed by our special counsel, Bill Mosca, that he will actually execute that agreement tomorrow on behalf of the 4 towns. It will then be presented to the Board of Public Utilities at their regularly scheduled monthly meeting with a recommendation by BPU staff to accept. It is anticipated that that will occur and go forward. And the anticipated merger or closing of this particular transaction and New Jersey American Water becoming the successor to EDC will occur before year end. Therefore, at the end of 2015 would become the effective start date of the 5-year moratorium for any increase on sewer rates. So that's what's going to happen tomorrow. So that's good news. And then on the JVH front, I think that maybe most of you must have received an invitation to the 13th annual Colonial Christmas 13 Stars, Stripes, and Colonies, and the cocktail reception on Friday, December 4th. I know from 6:30 to 8:30. I know that Robin is looking for additional silent auction items or raffle items if anybody would like to contribute. And of course, we're on tape, so this is going out to wide and far for people to step up for that. And what's going to be especially interesting will be the special exhibition of rare artifacts that were recovered from the Pluckerman cantonment. And these are new items that have been discovered there. So that's going to be quite interesting. And if anybody has any questions or would like additional information on how they can participate, that's
All right, you can't make this up. Let me throw this out.
Okay,
I will apologize.
that's all right. It's pretty good, Steve. I like that.
And it still won't turn off. There we go. Never mind.
WWJ.
You can make, if you want to rethink that thing we did 3 minutes ago, never mind. Go ahead. Sorry. My apologies.
It's www.jvanderveerhouse.org. And that's it.
Now, any, the flagpole, any news on the flagpole?
Yeah. From what I understand that there will be the presentation of the colors, and originally I thought that was going to be in place in time to be able to have it there and on the pole. John, do you know anything about? We don't. All right.
I saw there's a stake. Yeah.
I thought, well, I know the JV House has a meeting tonight. I can't attend, obviously, so maybe a follow-up with Robin for tomorrow. I'll be around in the morning. I can follow up with her and see what the status of that is. I know they wanted to do it all around the same time. Now, maybe it's not going to be that particular day, but maybe somewhere during the Colonial Christmas celebration week. Do you know anything else other than that? Anybody else hear anything different?
I have not.
Okay.
And thank you, and thank Bill Mosca again for his
Okay.
work on EDC.
Mr. Mayor, I did not have a Board of Health meeting since our last TC meeting, and the Environmental Commission meeting was really nothing notable, just business as usual, some septic reviews. But this Wednesday, we are having, Ms. Santucci and I will be attending the annual joint meeting of the EC and the Open Space Committee. Looking forward to that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Mr. Jacobs?
Last week there was the Land Use Board meeting where Hamilton Farm Golf Club had applied for and was approved for a structure to, I guess, expand their social hall from what is currently a tent to a permanent structure that was approved. There were some other matters that are pending for the Land Use Board, but they involve Board of Adjustment matters that the mayor and I are not allowed to participate on. But last Tuesday, I attended a program put on by the Somerset County Prosecutor Soriano on use of force. And the program was put on and essentially it was reached out to many folks in the community, church leaders, and other elected officials on giving the public an understanding of when police use force and what constitutes acceptable use of force and what constitutes illegal use of force, and how the prosecutor's office reviews and prosecutes offenses of unreasonable or unlawful use of force by police. It was interesting given some events that have happened, certainly over the Eric Garner situation in Staten Island, Ferguson, and other matters where police conduct has been scrutinized, and evaluating the processes that we have here, and actually the first identifying, is there an issue in Somerset County? And additional to Prosecutor Soriano was Dr. Richard Celeste from the Somerset County Police Academy, who I just think is an outstanding speaker. He is informative and he has a great speaking style, and he ran through what goes through educating the police in use of force, what the standards are, and the ramifications of violating those standards. Then there was a presentation by Assistant Prosecutor Stack, who also talked about when it gets referred, when those matters or offenses get referred over to the prosecutor's office, how they conduct the assessment and then make determinations whether or not anything should proceed to grand jury for possible indictment, and then if indictment is handed out, then prosecution. And it was interesting that even if there was no indictment handed by the grand jury, that those use of force matters could still come back to the police department for further review by internal affairs. They did run through some statistics on use of force in the county from a lot of the folks out there who were in the audience, which included many clergy members. There did not appear to be a real live issue within the county, but one of the reasons you have events like this is to make sure that the public is aware of what the police, what the academy, what the prosecutors do, and how they evaluate and how they continue to put out into the public the education on this issue, on use of force. So after this program, and it was about 2.5 hours, I was probably one of the few elected officials there, and I asked the question, okay, this is great, we're having this discourse, what can we, as elected officials, do to promote, make sure that it's out there and make sure that our officers are constantly trained on this, and that was the real issue, training. And of course, to some extent, there were some, budgetary issues raised, but to make sure that the police have adequate time to attend training updates on use of force. And that was echoed not just by the prosecutor, but also by Dr. Richard Celeste and also by Bill Parente, who's chief, what's his...
He's president of the Chiefs
President of the
Police
Chiefs
Association in Somerset County.
So, just something I want to discuss here, and I gave the chief the heads up that we were talking about this, and also gave him the heads up that everyone in uniform and those who are not in uniform had wonderful things to say about our chief. But with that, Chief, just curious if you had any comments or any of your own experience within your personal experience or the department's experience with use of force incidents.
Well, as you know, I mean, obviously the first things people cut when the budget get crunched was our training. And what I've done since becoming chief, I've started to bring things back, because you really can't compromise your training, because, like you said, use of force, there's mandated training, and the officers have to be prepared for all levels, whether it's hand to hand, force continues, it goes, all over. So what we've done is, you recognize Dr. Celeste, we've incorporated our officers now into what they call a MATS training, Mandatory Agency Training Service, and it's done at the Somerset County Police Academy, which now is called ESTA, Emergency Service Training Academy. Anyway, in the past, to help funds, to cut funds, we were training ourselves within doing in-house, but we kind of lose things, with experts like Dr. Celeste. So what I've done in the past 2 years is now we've brought our officers and we're sending them to the police academy, and they're getting these updated training, the videos, and everything's changed. So these dynamics are just, textbook. Read the Attorney General's guidelines on use of force. I mean, you can do that and get away with it, but we're trying now to mix it up, and they have use of force scenarios, videos, things like that. So that's one of the ways, and this is my second year of doing that. And because I've been able to watch the money, we've been able to add money to our training, out of our budgets. So that's one way. We also, big thing now is, your use of force with your weapons. I mean, that's the big concern. We have assault rifles, shotguns, 2 handguns, and they all have to be proficient in those. Initially, you're told to go out there and shoot your 100 rounds, come back and, put them away. We had added extra training days for that, so I'm trying to bring that in also. Not only are we going to go and qualify twice a year, we're adding 2 more days of training, so you take the stress away from your qualification and go and you do your hands-on, whether it be shield training, tactical training, sitting from shooting, from sitting, things, positions like that. So I recognize the need for this, and we have addressed that a little bit at a time. And as we move forward, obviously I'll look for you all for the budget, because in order to send people to training so that we're proficient, you have to fill the spot. So we're doing that, and with your help, we can continue successfully, because we've had no issues, and it's because of the officers know what to do and how to conduct themselves.
Great. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
That's it.
Ms. Santucci?
It was very interesting.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm just going to echo what Henning and Olson talked about tomorrow. On Wednesday, we have our joint meeting. It's actually interesting. We really haven't, obviously met in about a year, and we have a couple things that we're looking forward to for next year. So, but other than that, I haven't had any meetings, and that's fun.
All right. Very good. I don't really have much to add. I did attend this last week's PTO meeting, and we announced the go forward with the 202 bridge. And also, just as a community note, I just want to, since we have a couple members of the public, just thank the Matinos for putting on a fundraiser over the weekend in Bedminster for family in need. And it was a very successful fundraiser, and that's just good community support, and we appreciate
Yes.
that. All right, on to Ms. Sullivan, Administrator's Report.
Yes, as was mentioned, many of us will be going down to the New Jersey League of Municipalities Convention in Atlantic City, which starts tomorrow. You each have a folder with your information in it, includes your accommodation information, badge to get in and out of the various conference sessions, any special tickets you may need for some of the events that you might have signed up to go to. And Mr. Olson did have his arrangements needed to be changed. We were able to accomplish that and move some things around, so we're all good. So just have a safe trip and hope to see you there. And I put a link in your email so you can go to the League of Municipalities website and actually see the schedule of all the different seminars and events. So I hope maybe we can divide and conquer throughout the week. There's a lot of good stuff. So.
Judy, who's attending from the township?
Myself, Deb Stern, the CFO, Diane Gibson will be going down tomorrow for some registrar information. That's a little bit light this year. And staff.
Everybody's so busy. I know different people who usually go for 2 or 3, they're kind of going down for 1 and then back and then going again because everybody's...
Debbie and I are going down because we both need some training. We have required training we have to get, and it's being provided at the league. That's why we're going. So the 3 people that are going, that's why we're going, and then we're coming back. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm just going down for tomorrow, and there's some really good stuff on Thursday I wish I could go to, but I'm not going to be able to attend that either. So, yep, perhaps we can look over some of that stuff. And
yeah, before you go down. Also in your packet that was sent, it's a letter from the New Jersey DOT, and it's not about the Route 202 bridge. It's about the Route 202 resurfacing project that surprised me, because I wasn't focusing on it, but it's supposed to be beginning in December and going through to August 2016. It's an actual repavement starting here right at Miller Lane and continuing through Far Hills, Bernardsville, Berners Township to the Passaic River. So,
I thought that was a misprint.
yeah. So, just got that letter on Friday.
But that's just a mill and overlay?
Yes, there's some guardrails.
So if it's starting at Miller Lane, it's going to start in next month here.
Right.
Sidewalks? John?
The ramp.
Okay.
Is that going to be in the evening, do we know? Repaving, like a lot of the repaving?
What the letter goes on to say is that travel lanes will remain open during peak traffic hours, including restriping, 6-week duration. That'll start after the guide rail, traffic signal, and pedestrian sidewalk ramps are completed. Sounds like quite a project.
The state must have a lot of money for this all of a sudden.
What are the limitations on cold weather for doing this paving, or do they have it?
I don't know.
Any, John, is that? Wow. Okay.
I also have a quick update on our refunding bond that just what I can tell you is that it's moving forward. We will be above the 3% savings. Somewhere as projected right now is around 3.75 savings. And everything is going exactly very smoothly as planned. The attorney and the mayor have some paperwork that they're reviewing this evening to continue it to go forward. But we hope to have a closing the first week of December. So it's very smooth. And lastly, their 2016 capital budget. Normally we don't really talk about it till January, but you're probably going to hear some more about it mid-December. We have some projects next spring that we have been put off for a few years, and we need to complete them in 2016. And we need to get started early in 2016 to complete them on time. So you will see probably the capital budget will rear its head in mid-December, And you will see some resolutions tonight, even canceling some old ordinances to free up money for some new ordinances on tonight's agenda. So, just the FYI. One thing that isn't on my report, I did forward it around to you in your package, was just to finalize the Betty Merck reorganization dinner venue. I didn't really list it as a topic or a
I
item.
kind of penciled it in under old business, so...
If you want to speak about
talk
it, then we
about that.
can. I passed out just some
Yeah.
information to everybody that you can look at.
All right, well, yeah, let's get to that here in a few minutes.
Okay.
With the old business.
So that's all I have.
Okay. Item 11 is an introduction of ordinances, but I'm going to move that till after our resolutions, as what Judy was talking about. There is some items within the resolutions that could affect that. We'll go to public hearing of ordinances, which we have none. Do we have anything on the consent agenda?
No.
So we'll go right to these resolutions. And we'll start with Resolution 2015-130, authorizing the return of funds collected for the redemption of a tax sale certificate. And this is a lien amount of $721.62. Any comments or questions? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second?
This would be a roll call vote. Mr. Payne?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution 2015-131, authorizing the cancellation of capital improvement ordinance balances of the projects to the Capital Improvement Fund in a total of $7,771.94. What is noteworthy about this is the turtle tunnels came in under budget, I guess.
Yes, yes. John Mance, myself, Paul Ferrero, and Debbie Stern met last week to review a number of projects, talk about budget needs for 2016, and determine that this project is complete and done, and the funds left in the ordinance can be canceled and used for a new project, which is what we will be doing tonight.
So I know when anybody asked me about the turtle tunnels, my immediate left turn was to talk about how well we rethought the project and did it for less. And what's even better is we did it for less and we did it for under that less. So John and staff and Judy and Deb, thank you for that. But this is all about trying to free up that money again. Does anybody have a comment or question? If not, we'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Again, a roll call vote. Mr. Payne?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye.
Thank you.
Resolution 2015-132. Well, you know what, I'm going to move this to last, because this will have a little more discussion. So let's, and 2015-133 is the Clarence Dillon,
We were going to defer
and we're going to
that.
table that. So let's table that. And let me go to E, which is 2015-134. This is authorizing the transfer of funds in a total amount of $16,000. Any comments or questions? If not, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Again, with funding, a roll call vote. Mr. Payne?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacobs?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye. All right, lastly would be item C, and this is Resolution 2015-132, supporting the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Route 202 bridge over the North Branch of the Raritan River repair replacement project that straddles Bedminster Township and Far Hills Borough. Now, we talked about this, we had the meetings, and the end result was we were supposed to, by the end of the year, provide a resolution in support of one of these, the options that were presented. Been working with Judy on this, and we still don't have a complete, firm, clear, crystal clear picture of exactly what they want the ordinance, or the resolution to say. Judy's come up with what I think is a pretty darn good framework here, but I would ask you all to take a look at it and see if there's anything, if we still have any work on this. I mean, I only have some happies to glads in here, but I might have not looked at it as thoroughly.
The resolution, the language now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Bedminster and the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, that it supports a full shutdown staging alternative with a temporary pedestrian walkway for the Route 202 bridge over the north branch of the Raritan River as recommended by NJDOT. One of the, I guess, principles is, and it refers to it, I guess, in the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth whereas, where it says it will impact the community for approximately 9 months. I think I would want the 9 months, perhaps a no more than 9 months included in that resolution language.
Okay.
Well, I had the same comment, Larry, and I guess I was thinking that perhaps the precise language should be, according to DOT, it will impact the community. But what happens to the resolution if, in fact, they go 9.5?
It doesn't. It's
It's
just
symbolic.
aspirational.
Yeah, okay.
That's it.
It's aspirational, and even at the last meeting that they had suggested, well, maybe we could even do it less.
But that would not require us to take some kind of action.
No, it's just a little dig in the ribs of the folks down at DOT.
Then let's put in 1 month.
Yeah.
I was going to just suggest, and maybe this is just wordsmithing a little too much, I don't know. You have the whereas, in reading it, the first 5 staging alternatives to manage traffic control, and then in an effort to minimize both costs and impact on traffic control, we support a full shutdown of the bridge. Now, 5 years from now, somebody else is going to be looking at this and getting and feeling the impact of it, so that there's no second guessing on why we went to the full shutdown. Maybe some verbiage to the effect that reinforcing the idea that the other alternatives were simply not feasible, and this is really the only feasible alternative, or reinforce the language that the impact of the other alternatives would have been far greater on the community, and we're going for the 9 month. I just want to...
And I don't think that's wordsmithing. I think that's a great point. And also, I know it makes reference to the fact that that there was communication working with the local school and EMS representatives, but also the full shutdown recommendation also garnered the support of the representatives from the school, fire, and EMS, and I think that begs to Bernie's point that, look, someone comes back, why did you guys make that decision? Well, this wasn't just some, the language we used earlier, knee-jerk reaction, that this was thought out, involved, there was rounds of participation.
A lot of input and concurrence by a lot of affected parties. I mean, just kind of elaborate so that anybody that picks this up 5 years from now knows how we agonized over this and how we looked at it, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You could probably put that in the 5th paragraph down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You kind of say that there in the second portion of the paragraph, so you can kind of expand it. So where it says in an effort to minimize both cost and impact on traffic control, and you can refer to that the other options,
Okay.
we're going to read a
Found to
larger
be
impact.
more burdensome.
But otherwise, it looks really good.
Well, now, I'll also say that, I look at this tonight as not necessarily, I don't feel compelled that we have to pass this tonight, because I'll say there's one other thing that I wasn't able to do over the course of getting a chance to look at this over the weekend, and I think it might be worth sending it down the road and letting the school take a quick look at it. One slight wordsmith issue I had was in the 3rd from the bottom paragraph, just talking about road maintenance, school bus contracts. Instead of teacher contracts, I would have said teacher overtime as well. Have teacher and police be called the same thing, because they're overtime issues, and I know that's the way Lou and the Superintendent Giordano, that's the issue. It's not just simply the contracts. They have strict overtime guidelines, and that may be a very minor point, but for them it may be a very big point. So I'd also like to, I'd like to have all your input and run it under their nose, and then maybe next month.
Steve, is the school board planning on doing a resolution or some?
In fact, the new the business administrator, Shower, has been very adamant in her advice to the board and everyone else that she thinks this would be strongest if it was one voice. Because I kept saying, if the school wants to do, if they don't agree with us, I wouldn't want to thwart them from having their own voice heard. But she said, no, this ought to be one voice. So I would like to have their input in case we missed something in there.
Certainly from the DOT reps, they said that they only needed municipal
Right.
resolution. They did not need one from the school board. Steve's idea is that when this resolution does go forward, that it goes forward knowing that we have the support.
I guess you could reference that other interested parties such as school board, emergency services have concurred that, that this is the best alternative. Something short of a joint communique, I guess, but at least have them on.
Yeah,
So let me make those couple little minor
Yeah.
adjustments, and we circulate it again, and then we can send it off to the school.
Do we have anything in writing from first aid and fire?
No.
I think it would be a hassle to get that.
I can reach out to them. I
You
don't
can
know that you're
there's
going to get
one.
anything, so.
Well, if we give them a copy of this and there's verbiage in it that says that the concurrence of emergency services and the school board, that this is the least intrusive or burdensome, I like the word.
I mean, they came to the one meeting. I don't know that a lot of them came to the other meeting, so I would assume they still feel the same.
Well, they certainly articulated it in public.
Right.
However, perhaps having it in writing, especially since we're referencing the
Okay.
concurrence in an
Okay.
official resolution, that having that writing would be helpful.
And also, I remember there was a discussion, and maybe I'm missing it in here, I very well could be simply missing it, that the school was adamant about not wanting the closure to happen until the school year was completed.
I thought about that, and I couldn't, I don't know. I was running out of space, and I couldn't figure out how to put that in. I'm
All right.
certainly open to
Well, they
suggestions.
may be able to give you some suggested verbiage on that.
Yeah,
Because that was something they were acutely interested in. They said.
keeping it
"We
in
want-"
the
They didn't want that,
The one
the
school
day
year.
after school is done, you can close the bridge to start your work, but they didn't want it. Their main thrust was they wanted it in one budgetary cycle.
okay.
They said that was what,
Yeah, I thought about that. I just couldn't.
so, all right, well, yeah, maybe they might have a
do it anymore.
suggestion.
Okay. Good.
All right, well, let's table that, and hopefully we'll be able to reconvene on that one and revisit that one the first December meeting. All right, so now are we able to talk about introduction of ordinance 2015-012,
Yes.
authorizing the funding of a 2015 capital project for the engineering, design, and construction for the township's road management plan in the amount not to exceed $7,000. This public hearing for this ordinance is scheduled for Monday, December 7th, 2015, 7 p.m. in these chambers. Any comments or questions?
Did I don't know if did I miss anything? Is there a specific,
So this is a
Road that-
very broad
Okay.
ordinance. Like I said, John and Debbie and I met with
Yeah.
Paul Ferrero. We identified the capital projects being Robertson Drive, Old Dutch Road, the hike and bike, paving, what else am I missing? That there's some preliminary costs, putting the bid specs together, some preliminary engineering that's required.
Okay.
If there's something that John needed to do as far as doing storm drains or catch basins, the $7,000 could get that going now, that we're not going to wait till the budget is passed to do it. And since we're saving $7,000 from the turtle tunnels, we're just kind of rolling it over to get these projects going early.
It's more related to the funding available for all
So it's not specific to a project, it's for any of them.
okay.
I'll entertain a motion to introduce ordinance 2015-012.
I'll move the motion, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
And this just requires an all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried, thank you.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the bill list pending the approval of individual invoices?
So moved. Second.
Roll call vote, Mr. Payne?
Aye.
Mr. Olson?
Aye.
Mr. Jacob?
Aye.
Ms. Santucci?
Aye.
Mayor Parker?
Aye.
Thank you.
New business, old business. Before we get to old business, does anybody have any new business?
Judy, who's been using the River Road Park for all those, that equipment out there?
That would be Lewis Tree Service. In town, they're working in town.
Oh, that's all in town? Yeah, all those buckets, yeah, just,
I wouldn't say for all in town, it's Bridgewater and
Yeah, they're off of Washington Valley and, Coeur Lane, down Prospect, up in that.
when vendors like that or contractors, store their material on township property, do we get insurance? Do we get
Yeah.
any fees? Do we get anything else from them?
Mm,
sometimes we get interaction with that.
Okay.
they offered to help us with some projects.
Okay, just wondering. Thank you. Oh, one other question on, this may, I'm not sure this is new business, but, what professionals are up for renewal? And when do you make the decision, or do we make the decision about whether we go
So,
out bid or we do a
The
renewal?
RFPs for the shared court for prosecutor and public defender went out early. The RFPs for all other professionals, and all of the professional contracts are for 1 year. They have also gone out, but they are due December 10th, I believe. And then we will be reviewing them at the December 21st meeting, the second meeting in December, for review of what the RFPs came back at. And hopefully we can make decisions before the reorg meeting as to who we're moving forward with. We are receiving them now. I mean, they're starting to come in, so.
And that's all.
It's on our
professional-
website.
and that's all
If any
professional
professional
services?
is interested, the forms are all on our website. We did send them out to all our current people or anyone that did request one.
Okay, thank you.
Old business, Pony Farm. I'll simply say the clock is still ticking. NJDOT, the bridge, I think we've just discussed that. Expansion of the shared municipal court. Do we have anything else we want to share on that?
That the form of the agreement was submitted to Marlene Sullivan and Rob Sapola, who are with the court system. And I know they've had some dialogue as recent as today with Ms. Sullivan, and so that is in progress.
So at what point do we, well, I guess we've already done it, even if I participated in some of the emails.
Yeah, I got a
this
call
morning
today
about-
from
to make sure
Bernardsville.
That there's a schedule, and we're looking to get this wrapped up and official by January 1. We
Bernardsville
need to
called
make
me
sure that
today. They are having
Tony's
a,
office is right there with us.
Bernardsville's having a special meeting tomorrow morning to review some recommendations that were made by the committee as far as professionals. I have heard back from PPAC, Bedminster as well, so we hope to be moving forward with that soon. I also reached out to the group to get a couple of dates so we can sit down to make some other decisions regarding staffing. The municipal division is looking for an organizational chart of who's reporting to who, and we don't have that really yet. So they won't review Mr. Bellardo's draft agreement without that, I guess. They need that in addition.
Do they need the certainty of those positions, or can it be a either or?
I
Since
sent
there's
them,
really only one position that,
yeah, I sent them some information as to what we were trying to accomplish, and hoping they would understand we're not there, you know, and didn't realize that that was needed before they could look at anything else.
okay, and John, were there any comments from the other municipalities on the agreement?
No, I did not submit it to them.
Okay.
I trust that Ms. Sullivan is doing that.
Yeah.
I haven't been interacting with them directly.
So you'll get that off
Yeah.
to Ralph and to Hector?
Right.
Okay.
All right.
Actually, I did that already.
Okay.
All right, well, lastly, what should be fun business? And that is, let's try to figure out what venue we'd like to have the first annual Betty Merck dinner at. Our reorganization, our joint meeting with the Board of Ed, which is scheduled for January the 4th. And I see Judy has given us, we all see Judy has given us a nice little spreadsheet with some options. Judy, do you want to provide us some highlights to this?
So, we had a lot of suggestions of places we could go. They're all covered in your little spreadsheet. Some of them, I mean, certainly an easy hit redo for the Pottersville Fire Company. We also had Trump National reach out to us that they'd be happy to host us, as did Hamilton Farms. They both gave us similar prices and similar menus. Some of the other locations, USAT doesn't have heat. AT&T is a secure campus. They said sorry, but no. Fiddler's Elbow is closed during the first couple weeks of January. Clarence Dillon Library said they didn't think they had enough room. The Willow School was happy to be our host. However, one thing I found interesting, they have a gluten-free and peanut-free campus, so we would have to use their chef and their menu and agree to only have gluten-free, peanut-free food. And they can only accommodate 75 cars and about 100 people, so, and a lot of work as far as providing tables, chairs, tableware, glassware, and everything else.
And here goes my peanut butter and jelly onion.
So-
I was hoping for.
So really, the top three are the three in contention. I will say, as far as doing a social affair permit where there's not at this anything other than the Pottersville Fire Company who offered to take care of it for us, it would require a little bit more help here with staff as far as providing the alcohol to the location. Trump was going to have their banquet manager assist us in that regard.
Trump does not have an American flag?
No, they need us to bring that.
Don't they have a huge one? Can't they get their...
Not suitable to have in the dining room, so.
I don't think that's a bridge too far. Provide our own American flag. Yes. Well, I open it up to the dais. Tell me what you think.
Well, I'll start, Mayor.
Go ahead, please.
I mean, obviously, we've been at Trump, we've been at the fire company, and, Trump is obviously very, I'll use the word regal, because I think that's what Mr. Trump would call it, and along with, certainly spacious enough, and Hamilton Farms, I think, would be a great venue. I think the firehouse, worked well, but I think what I'm going to do is since you and Larry are the ones that are going to be getting sworn in, I'm going to defer to you to pick the venue that you would most likely like to take your oath of office.
Oh, jeez.
That seems best.
Oh,
I'll help you out here, actually.
yeah, because otherwise we might have it might be an arm wrestling match here.
No, the only thing that worries me is the space. Pottersville was wonderful last time, but the space was actually a little bit of an issue. I know people had a little bit of trouble standing up and getting sworn in when they were moving their seats back and forth. So, and I know we were worried about the weather, about being able to navigate there. That's the only thing that concerns me about Pottersville. And with Hamilton Farms, as Judy mentioned, we would need somebody to bring libations. I don't know if it would be schlepping them themselves, and I'd rather than spend the time working on the resolutions and the appointments rather than catering the party. And maybe have a little bit of a good time for a change. But that's really just my comment, that although of course I prefer to, because you are getting sworn in, but if that helps at all, that's my thought process. They've been,
Rank has its privilege.
wonderful in the past, but we're going to vote anyway at the end, so that'll help you probably.
Well, all right, I will say,
Want to flip a coin?
I've already said a lot on
Fine,
this.
guys.
I will say a lot on this already, but I will also say that I've got a lot of unsolicited advice about this over the past couple weeks. And I know that I have a warm spot in my heart for the Pottersville Fire Company, and I think that's a nice community atmosphere. But I've also had a number of people come up and say, boy, they really liked having it at Trump. There's another issue that somebody brought up that I hadn't even thought about. As the first annual Betty Merck dinner, we will be right adjacent to Elizabeth Lane, and that might be a nice touch.
Good symbolism.
So, I guess my point is I'm more than willing to be swayed. So,
Well, I heard those same comments about the difficulties of attendance at Pottersville Fire Department, and I thought it was, it was a great venue for many folks who said, this is Bedminster, right? To be out there, out in the country, it was quaint, and it also, I think opened up a lot of folks who hadn't been to the Pottersville Fire Department before, and it was an opportunity for them to see it. But there were complaints about the parking. Everyone was crunched in, and it did make the logistics of running a meeting perhaps a little difficult. And we certainly know that Trump would not have that. It's big, it's open, they've got the venue, they've got the format nailed down. My heart would like to do it back at Pottersville, but I understand that it was, that there were some problems with accommodating 100 folks or more.
Can I add one more comment, which may turn...
Come on,
turn
come on, throw it on.
If I recall, the last, maybe I'm wrong, but the last reorganization meeting that she attended was at Trump.
that's true. Yeah, I don't
And since this is the first one that's formally going to bear her name, maybe that, and as I said, Trump being a regal place to have it, maybe that's only fitting. I don't know. I'm just going out there with, this is another rationale I'm throwing out there.
Well,
So we got
I'm trying to help-
we got the
I'm trying to help you
proximity to
guys.
Elizabeth Lane.
Mhm.
We've
trying-
got, that was Betty Merck's last appearance at a reorg.
Well, let me throw out
Compelling.
let me throw out this suggestion.
I'm helping you.
Yes,
Let me-
yes, you are.
Let me throw out this suggestion. Perhaps we can then somehow find a way in the new year to take our township committee on the road and do a night at the Pottersville Firehouse some night. Do a township meeting up there.
We've done that.
Because we'll fill the place. Oh, well, how do we get the video
We
then?
can't videotape it.
Oh, I'm sure we could put a
That would
camera.
be a great idea.
But, just do something up there.
Jake, is that in your travel budget?
Can you get out there?
Okay.
Didn't we, I thought we did that before.
We have, but it's been a long time.
It's been a long
Here in
time.
the summer.
It's been a long time. It's been more than 3 years.
Right.
So maybe we do that as a good fallback. So I'm getting the sense that it's Trump.
Okay? That the
Am I wrong?
I think we'd be honored to have it there, and they'd be honored to have it.
And please thank the folks in Pottersville, because
we've-
I know they've extended, and it
Everybody's
might have
just
seemed like at last
waiting to
meeting
hear
we
from
had,
us as to what
Yeah.
we picked,
Yeah.
because we have, everybody's
Yeah.
like holding a spot, so.
We were a gluten-free menu away from going to Willow School.
I want,
They'll be so happy.
it's the peanuts. Gotta have peanuts. No, just kidding. All right, well, that gets us down to public comments. Is there a member of the public that wishes to come up and be heard? Seeing none, we will go to Township Committee comments, and we will go, as tradition has it, to my right, Mr. Payne.
Just a couple of things. Steve, congratulations on another year and serving our community as mayor. Let's see. The, this year I think is going to be my 10th year down at the league. And I have to say that I never come back there without great knowledge, some great networking and meeting people, and we come back a little smarter every year we go down there, and we have fun doing it. So I look forward to the next couple of days. And then I just happened to notice, did you notice the correspondence? The number one correspondence where the borough of Wanacue, I guess that's how you pronounce it, is urging the governor and members of the state legislature to implement a study commission to look at the reduction or abolishment of county government in the state of New Jersey. So that's a new one.
Oh, but there's two other states that apparently have already gone forth.
Connecticut did do it.
Yeah,
Interesting, to say the least. And with that,
very good.
good night.
Mr. Olson?
I'd just like to offer my congratulations and gratitude for your leadership so far. Good luck on continuing your helmsmanship into the future.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jacobs?
Congratulations, Steve, and looking forward to seeing everyone down at the league and see y'all there.
See
Stacy?
you tomorrow night. Congratulations. Another year with the gavel.
Mhm.
So we're looking forward to it.
Okay. And I won't prolong this any further. I promise next time I'll leave my iPad at home. And with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. No beat Lafayette.